What's up, guys? You might say, why is Mike wearing sunglasses? Well, because I wanted to see what it felt like to be that douchebag wearing sunglasses inside. If that's you, you know who you are. Quit being that douchebag. Alright guys, let's get serious now. Because that's how I always am, right? Serious. So, this is what I wanted to talk about because this was kind of on my mind. There's like two things that are on my mind. One is, right, that's the last one I went. Well, let me ask you a question. How do you feel you should roll with a higher belt? Think about that for a second. How do you feel? Do you think you should go balls to the wall? Do you think you should try to go with every little gusto you got because that's what's going to make you better? Is if you can achieve a submission on a black belt, if you're a blue belt, a purple belt, is that what's going to solidify your abilities? Is that what's going to tell you that you're great? Is if you can accomplish that? Here's the truth, right? Let's just be serious, at least in my opinion. And if you disagree, feel free to comment. If you agree, feel free to comment. I actually want some feedback. I never get it, but I want it. I would rather, against a black belt, right? I'm a purple belt, but even a brown belt. Let's start here. Here's my philosophy, okay? White belts, where I'm at now, purple belt. If I roll with a white belt, I am able to slow my game down a lot and really focus on details. Okay? I'm not giving them an easy time. They're working their ass off. But I'm able to slow the pace. A blue belt, picking up the pace just a little bit, but I'm able to still play. When I roll with another purple belt or a high level blue that's going to purple, you can feel the difference, right? Then I roll a little bit more serious where I'm not quite slow in the motion. Now I'm trying to make it a reaction. It has to be speed. It has to be... I'm not trying to use athleticism because I really don't got it. I might look like I do, but I don't. Shit, some people even say I look strong. I'm not fucking strong. At least I don't think so. When I roll with the purple belt, like myself, I have to let my reactions take over. My reactions take over, and they lead the way. When I roll with a brown belt now I'm a little bit more cautious with my movements. I don't want to think, but this is going somewhere really good, I can tell. So now I'm with the brown belt. Now I'm having to do what I did with my purple belt, where I have to react faster, but now I have to be even more aware of connecting my moves together, right, to try to avoid submission. Now, here's where things start to change for me. And this is just recent, this is changing. And I don't know how long I'm going to hold on to this philosophy, but I think it will make a difference. Whoever the fuck I roll with, I try to tap out, right? Does that always make you better? Yeah, I think at a purple belt, me trying to tap out a purple belt, me trying to tap out a blue belt, me tapping out a white belt, that sharpens my tools. When I start getting to the higher belts, guys that have more experience, they're just better, man. Spade's a spade, man. I mean, if you've been training 20 years and I've been training 7, if you're not more knowledgeable than me and something went wrong, you just fucking went to sleep in your class or something, So, what's the likelihood of everything happening? Sometimes we'll hear a story about, oh, this blue belt tapped the black belt. Did he really tap the black belt, or did the black belt just get lazy on him and said, the ego's not even there anymore for the black belt, so he just says, fuck it, right? So, I don't want to stall on this too long. So, when I get to the brown belt, now I'm playing a little smarter. I'm a little bit more cautious, but I'm also looking to tie my moves together faster. If he gives me something, I'm going to go for it, right? So let's just move past. Let's go right to the black belt. I'm starting to feel my philosophy for rolling with a black belt now is not necessarily me looking to submit them. If he makes a mistake, obviously, but how many black belts, high level, or not even high level, just how many black belts are really making mistakes that a lower belt will even recognize? You know, that we'll even fucking see, because we make mistakes all the time that we don't see. That's why we're not at that level yet. The movement and the room for error gets very, very small, I think, at that higher level. I'm not there yet, but I can see the evolution of jiu-jitsu, and that's where it's going. That's where everybody, I mean, that's where, who's watching this right now, that is where your training is going. We all know the same feeling. If you were a white belt, all of us were white belts, you fucking sucked for a period of time. You know, you might have been strong and that carried you to the blue belt. You might have been a wrestler and that carried you to the blue belt. But once you became the blue belt, fuck it, man. You had to learn jiu-jitsu. You know, you really, that's when you, and then you start getting it. So when I roll with a black belt now, this is my philosophy, and I want you guys to try this. Don't think to beat him, because he's got every tool, almost. I mean, his game's polished. He has every weapon to beat the shit out of you. So what you should do, a different way of thinking now, a smart way, is go back to the basic rule of thumb of the Gracies, the whole art of jiu-jitsu, survival. So here's the idea. I'm going to roll with a black belt, but I'm not going to be stupid. I'm not going to be sloppy. I'm not just going to engage and throw myself out there. If he makes a mistake, I'm going to try to fine-tune my body to picking up his mistakes, to find where his little errors are. Because when I get back down to my purple belt, I'm going to find his errors much quicker. I'm going to be more keen to that I feel everything better. I'm not going to look to submit the black belt because, again, his escapes should be at least at a black belt level. So his escape ability is superior. Might not have even been, your instructor might not have been, or your professor might not have been tapped out in a couple fucking years. You know, I mean, that shit happens in a school. Especially if they haven't gone outside their school to test themselves. So, yeah, I don't want to get caught rambling, but that's where I think I'm at right now, and I think it makes a good point. You can find yourself anywhere in that belt system. The whole concept is the people below you is where you start at like the low part of the volume and to crank your volume up until you get to where you're at. When you get to these higher belts, it's not that the volume gets cranked up, the volume stays at a purple belt level volume, but now I'm trying to be more keen on the survival. Because we all know, right? When you roll with your professor, he might say, come get me, come on, come on. Be careful of that shit. Because we know that when we roll with anxious white belts, they come at us so hard that fucking everything under the sun opens up for us. We see everything. We see every fucking arm that's hanging there. We see every triangle. We see every choke. It's just there because they're coming at you, you know? Well, that's what we look like, most likely, to a higher, more experienced belt when you just throw yourself out there. Maybe you're more technical. Obviously, you're more technical. But understand what I'm saying. It's, you sometimes give opportunity. It's just like if I hold a position and do nothing, I'll hold that position. And I will do that. With a higher belt, hey man, if I have mounted you, escape. Let me see what you got. Let me see what the options are. But I think I rambled about that enough. I think it's a good fucking point. I think it's a great way of thinking. You don't go home feeling so bad, you know, because that happens. We all know that shit happens. Jiu-jitsu is the world's biggest fucking emotional roller coaster. But try that out, man. You know, again, what I'm saying when I roll the higher belts, I don't want to keep rambling, but, you know, it is what it is. Just try to really, really lock in on their movements, because their movements most likely are a way faster and a different level. Everything, sometimes even down to the shoulder pressure, can be different. So feel all that and just absorb it and just look for the opportunities to move. When you move, control a position. Because inevitably you control a position, you will end up in a submission. I think that's where the whole position before submission shit came from. I mean, that's secure your position, right? Like I'll tell you, like my style lately, I love to get to the mount. Can I finish it? Not all the time, no. Not even half the time. So what am I doing? I'm working on learning to control that top position better and better to give me time to sit up there longer and longer to get those submissions. Because you know what? It's just like where you start as a white belt. You will eventually get better. So I just know, I sit here long enough, eventually everybody, once I mount them, is fucked. I will get on top of them, rape them, take an arm, all of that good shit. Until next time, my fellow brethren, shoot me a message, subscribe, whatever. Do your thing. Keep on rolling.